what is MFAs, the new minister will take over, is an institution. We have officials, we have processes, so I'm not worried. Then there were some projects which I've been involved in a more personal capacity, like the Nalanda project and the Sun Chung San Jinenguan and a few other things. Those I will continue to take part in because they are interesting. I believe in them, and I will continue to do what I can to advance their progress. Yeah.
On ASEAN community?
That's for MFA to move forward. Yeah. No, I don't think there'll be any problem. Yeah, because it's not a personal position, it's Singapore's position.
But however, there are concerns However, there are concerns from our overseas partners and people who know you well about moving forward. What will Singapore's foreign relations be? Because a lot of these relations might have been because of your close links with them, and how can your successor fill this shoe?
I'm touched by the expressions of support, by the things they said in Jakarta. But prime ministers come and go. It's part of life. We work with it. So I don't see a major hiccup there. Of course, if you know someone well, you're always sad to see him go, because then you've got to develop a new relationship with someone new. But that goes on all the time. Yes, Abhishek.
Okay, it's actually about foreign ministry again. Because you and Mr. Zainu are out of the ministry now, we only have a second minister left. Do you think there's a problem with succession in the foreign ministry? Because people are saying the best choice would be Minister Tharman himself. But then it seems like if he were to come over, Ministry of Finance would have a problem as well. So what are your comments?
No, I think it's better you ask Prime Minister that question. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, sir. Gerard from My Paper. As much as we would like to think that foreign policy is not personality-based, but you are the face of Singapore's diplomacy for a few years now. So what are the kind of mechanisms that will ensure a smooth handover to to your successor?
When my successor is appointed, I would naturally work with him and explain and fill him up, not only on the framework and the policies, but on some of the nuances. And I will certainly make myself available to him should he have any question. I'll be on call to him. If he has any doubt, any question, any discomfort, I'll be very happy to offer my views. That I'll do happily. But of course, he will have to make his own decisions.
Hi, Minister. Tian from Zaobao.
Yes.
In the past, in wards won over by opposition, the PA grassroots have toned down a lot of their activities. Is this likely to happen in Aljunied?
There will be an adjustment because the town council will take over common areas, and then they will decide what to approve and whom to work with. We've got to adjust to that. But PA will keep intact the CCC and the community club and the RCs, because these are important channels for us to communicate, through which to communicate national policies to residents.
Minister.
All right, please.
I'm sure you have seen all the calls for you to be the next president of Singapore. Can I ask whether is that really might that be one of your options? I think another thing that was going around is for you to go over to UN and take over. Again, your thoughts on that?
I'm flattered by all these proposals. UN is out of the question because it won't be Asia's turn after Dr. Ban Ki-moon. As for the elected presidency, I'm a free spirit, and I don't think I'm temperamentally suited for such a job.
Hi, I'm Yuan from the Business Times. Can I ask, during the campaigning period, you did send out the message to the voters that the various upgrading schemes and the improvement schemes would continue regardless of the outcome of the vote. Do you think that that message perhaps removed whatever fear that voters had in them of voting for the opposition? Thank you.
I think the desire for Workers' Party voice in Parliament was so strong that it overrode all other considerations. I don't think those were considerations which they had not thought about.
Minister, MM Lee on Sunday actually, when he was asked about WP's entry into Parliament, he questioned whether or not they would actually be there to serve Singaporeans or rather to oppose the PAP in Parliament. I'm just wondering your thoughts in terms of, do you think that WP's entry would be posing more of a challenge within Parliament to get things going? And how do you think the PAP can possibly work with the opposition in that arena? Secondly, I'd like to also find out from you, when we talk about your future plans, I know that you have refused to say anything about that, but do you feel as though the voice of the younger people was the cause of your downfall in this election? Because you mentioned so many times about communication. So do you feel as though the larger group of perhaps young voters out there was the cause of your defeat? Thank you.
What Parliament will be in this new term will be interesting. The relationship between the PAP and opposition parties. Pity I won't be there to be part of that. I have no doubts that the objective of the Workers' Party would be to further strengthen its position in Singapore, and the positions they take, what they support and what they oppose, will have that firmly fixed in their minds. This is not surprising because that's what all political parties do. It is an adversarial system in Parliament, and you don't want to have the ruling party score more points and win more votes in this election because that will be to your disadvantage. So that's a calculus, and it's to be expected. And your second question is about
The younger
voters. I think nationally there was a swing among younger voters against the PAP. My own guess is that the swing was less in Aljunied GRC. So while I hear anecdotally that in some constituencies you could feel the antagonism viscerally, in Aljunied GRC, if there was an opposition against us, it was expressed almost in apologetic terms. So I didn't feel a visceral opposition from the young, but I'm sure many of them did vote against us. But the election outcome could not be explained by the votes of the young alone. I think it was across the board. Well, I think we're more or less trying to press the olive third or fourth time. I thank you all for coming. I thank all of you for having covered me and members of my team so intensively before, during, and after the elections. And glad that we become friends. Thank you.